So, for a little recap, this last session we had a little bit, we could call it a time jump, but it wasn't really all that much of a time jump, so we're not going to call it that.
It was a what is it called? Like it's
I forgot about that.
So,
it's a little speedy montage.
yeah, we had a little bit of a montage.
We had
your travels of
exploring,
mapping.
yes. The helicopters flew by as we traveled through the mountains, through the valleys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Finding an orchard that is now called Larry's Grove as the largest tree in the grove, who was named Larry Dark Oak.
Which we wasted an hour on.
We wasted like 25 minutes.
Like maybe.
It wasn't that. It keeps getting longer every time you talk about it. It was long. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't an hour.
After Drake had a conversation with this tree, who appeared to be a very aggressive Bostonian-style creature, you guys decided to leave the orchard alone and come back when you guys had dropped the fold in hopes to seeing what Larry looks like when he's no longer necrotic. After that, a couple other things that occurred. There were some conversations amongst the party, some research into the document that was signed by you guys, by Nibs. A few rekindled relationships, newly kindled relationships, and others that seem to be completely null and void at this point. You guys got there a little quicker than anticipated due to Zareth pretty much not sleeping while you guys were out and about.
How dark is Zara's skin?
How dark is Zareth's skin?
Just fucking with you. Anyways.
Okay. He can swim, if that helps you denote.
Damn.
I didn't get that one.
But he can't slam dunk.
Exactly.
There's a common
Misconception.
stereotype that black people can't swim.
Oh.
Okay.
Why? That's so random. Sorry, continue. Don't entertain my question.
I'll inform you why later. Either way, so you guys made about, and then Dog woke up.
Yep. Dog woke up.
Dog.
The dog
woke
woke up.
No, dog.
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 The
No, just
not
dog.
Dog the wyvern.
Dog the wyvern.
No, I know.
So Dog woke up, had a little bit of time out and about. May or may not have tried to poison Mikhail as he slept, and had some fun, but seems to have the sedative still slowly wearing off to where when it's awake, it's kind of awake, and when it's asleep, it's out for a while. So that occurred. You guys eventually did end up getting to the Overkeep mountain range, in which you guys, first of all, met Kronos at the gate, a appearingly Gith figure who led you through the Overkeep Pass and into a chasm of which this new civilization seems to be set around. Kind of a large circular pit with a tall spiraling tower in the center of it, with staircases and platforms and stuff going all around. You guys re-met with Prometheus after getting the rules from Kronos that there will be no fighting. No fighting. No fucking fighting. And and then after a short period of time going and getting some food, Dr. Voberman showed up.
He's a little nutty.
He's quite nutty.
Nutty.
Kind of just nuttying
Peanut
all
butter.
over me.
Can you stop?
Sorry.
Yeah, that guy.
Well, I mean, he definitely wanted to plug into me.
He did end up plugging into you.
Can we not entertain more gay?
We're entertaining
Can we?
all of you.
I
Can we not? Is it possible for us to not?
I can do this all day.
You really So, you guys met Dr. Boberman, and honestly, not too much new things were introduced as far as I know, as far as I can remember. I mean, some information was given,
Not very much.
but not very much new information. And Boberman invited you to...
He did install my grappling hook.
He installed your grappling hook. That was the big thing. He did invite you guys to come down to what he denoted as, if I remember correctly, the lab. Or
The lab.
the science room. Something along those lines. To kind of come meet with him and some of the other workers and scientists there to... Yes, Mika.
Did you make my super gun?
Okay.
You don't have a power cell for that yet.
Yes, I do.
Yes, he did. He got one from Prometheus after signing pretty much his life
Oh,
away
yeah,
for
that's
it.
right. That's right.
I didn't know.
I already sold my soul once. Why not again and again and again?
And he
Yeah,
didn't-
this is-
If he sells his soul to everybody, they're all gonna fight for it anyways.
So great.
He,
not my
he
problem.
He didn't let Nibs read it. And then it burned up.
Mikhail is trying to sign as many ancient documents as he can and just
He has a quest.
make his death look like a divorced couple. It's just like, where does the kid go? Who gets the kid? Who gets the soul?
Who gets the soul? Who gets the soul first?
Hey, if enough people fighting over the soul, you might just keep it.
That's the entire
This is my plot.
story plot for the next campaign you run. Is the Soul Wars. All spawned from my soul.
It's not going to be on the prime material plane, but that could be fun.
Every single faction that I signed myself away to is going to be pitted against each other.
Because
the
all-
next party,
You had a lot of identities.
Yeah.
the next party is going to have to figure it all out and decide who's worthy of getting my soul. I'm going to have to try and
That could be
Figure that all out.
that could be interesting. Probably not a campaign point, but maybe a.
I think it is a
mini-arc or
campaign
something.
point. The whole campaign can just be people that are facilitating a duels of sorts, and they're like doing something shady on the side.
Either way.
Not that that's not shady.
Nibs tried to stay on the boat. The voice told him. The voice told him he really couldn't, so he came. He then tried to talk them into taking off collars. Was informed that that was counterproductive to getting things done. Tried talking to multiple people, and they all said, "No, we don't want to do that." So we were at the table, and we had just been invited to go to the lab,
Yep.
and everyone was going to stand around and watch us. Even though we're dangerous and crazy, we are also kind of like the new. We're like the new pit bull on the block. You don't know if it's going to attack the kids or if it's actually a cute dog. That's why everyone's
The
standing
new
around.
pit bull on the block.
Yeah, you're just
You don't know if it's gonna kill some children or if it's gonna be super cute.
Yeah, I mean,
Why
that's,
not both?
Princess wouldn't hurt a fly.
yeah, I mean that's why you watch the.
Have you guys seen it? Sorry, side.
4 children.
Have you guys
all
seen
by
any of
small
those
dogs.
videos where it's like guys trying to like, let women that they're passing on the street know that they're not a threat or whatever, and it's these guys walking by going, "Oh, I love your manicure, honey," or something like that. Just like speaking super gay to let them know that they're not a threat to them. I think it's so fucking hilarious.
Oh.
Anyways, that's what that reminded me of. Apologies.
Or gay dudes all of a sudden getting a.
I don't know if the dude's actually gay, but like he presents himself as just like I'm totally like not. I'm totally chill. Like I'm not gonna hurt you.
I'm not gonna mug you.
I'm not gonna mug you. I
And he freaks, and half the time they freak out more.
No.
Definitely not from the Midwest.
I was gonna say that's
Right?
I
Not
did
from
see
the
that.
Bible Belt, that's for sure.
I did see that one video of a guy who was like, you can say whatever you want to someone on the streets if you just say it in the gay voice. And he literally walked around, he's like, slay bitches. And like these 2 chicks walk in, they're like, oh my god. And then,
Oh my god. Just like that. Oh my
Yeah,
god. Beautiful.
Okay.
Really?
Back to
Sorry.
D&D.
Back to
Let's read
D&D.
here.
Would you stop?
I'm gonna
Can you stop?
Well, instead of sanity, it's funny, I wrote nuts. So I look down at his, and I'm like, nuts? And then he says it.
This is nuts. So,
Speaking of which,
as you guys are kind of getting up from the table, you had asked Dr. Bachman. What?
What's my space gun called? Or did you not make it?
I have not made it yet. Because I don't.
Just give a
intend to use
random.
it.
Just you're not gonna be able to use it yet. But
What'd
like
you say?
fires it without knowing what it does.
What'd you say,
It's
Jay?
Like,
bazooka.
Give it bazooka.
Name it Bazooka? No.
That's a great nickname.
it's probably gonna name it from a weapon from some sort of game.
No. I'm trying to decide something because I kind of forgot about
Do
this.
you name each of your souls that you give away? Like Voldemort? Like their Horcruxes?
So do you actually have one
Like
of those?
naming his many dicks.
Now that's a you problem.
Ultimate nullifier. You know what that is?
No. So your weapon is called the Psychic Lancer. I will make it for next week, and you can look at some things, but you haven't attuned to it yet, so it makes sense that you won't know exactly what it can do yet.
Okay.
Yep.
It does more damage.
Anything powerful, you gotta attune to it.
Well, he doesn't have to attune to the laser pistol.
But that's not very powerful. I mean, it's powerful, but
It's not this powerful.
yeah.
You're talking to a monk druid that might convert into a gunslinger at this point, like just so he can multi-fire it.
So, as you kind of ask that, he's just kind of shouts, I believe that's the Psychic Lancer. I was not the one working on it, but I believe that's what that kookhead down in C46 called it.
Nice.
4621.
And he's kind of leading you guys down. He ends up hopping onto and like beckoning you to hop onto a moving platform that's kind of going around the cycle of this chasm that you guys kind of jump on, and it glides around. And there's no rope holding onto it. There's nothing securing it. It is just a slab of 10 by 15 metal. Just a flat slab of metal that's floating around.
Lovely.
And he kind of guides it down a couple floors, and you guys find that you're probably 3/4 down the chasm, so you're pretty dang close to the bottom. And he kind of steps off, and there is a wall and just a singular door that you cannot see through. Unlike most of the rooms here that are open and very, not necessarily vibrant, but they're colorful at least, or you can see what's inside them. This one, it's very obvious there's a door there and there's a room, but you cannot see inside. And he kind of steps up, and you see his hand glow like a deep magenta, and the door slides open, and he kind of steps in, beckoning you to follow. And inside, you guys see the purest white room that you ever have. There are, I believe, 6 different sections to the room, all kind of like decorated and set up differently. There's one that very obviously has to do with like magic and autonomous stuff and technology, and Dr. Bauerman starts leading you over that way, making you kind of think that that's his sector. I mean, if you guys want to go ahead and roll perception to...
I love perception.
That was a 17. Wait, actually, no, that was a dirty 20.
9 plus 7 is
16.
16.
Ooh, starting it off strong. What are we doing?
That's 20 for 25.
Doing with 16.
We started strong.
Okay, so,
I rolled an 8.
you guys all looking around, you see that some of the other sectors are a little bit more creative. There's one that seems pristinely kept, specifically focusing on more potions and brewings and apothecary type work. There's another one where there is someone actively working off to the side that has deep silver, blacks, and red ornaments set around the place. There's armors there. There's a lot of orbs and other things. You would assume some kind of magical stuff, but just a variety of different smaller items as well as some armor. And inside it is a similar creature to what you've already seen with Kronos, just a green-skinned character, long pointed ears, black hair that goes below the small of his back, just super long black hair, and he seems to be actively sitting down with a black orb, probably about the size of a soda can, that is just radiating with this purple and red energy inside of it that he has encapsulated between his hands. You guys see another place that is completely filled, and each of these are kind of hexagonal areas set around the room with space in between, as people really don't like their stuff getting mixed up with others. And one of them just has armor, weapons, items, mostly weapons and armor, but there are hundreds. Shields, plate armor, leather armor, morning stars, glaives, daggers, long swords. Every type of weapon or armor you guys have ever seen is sitting over here, and there is just a dwarf man just sitting in the middle, literally spinning in a chair, looking at all of the things. And he just blank face, just spinning around in his circle. The second to last section. What did you say, Trey?
Okay.
Another one, there appears to be these small machines. Not necessarily automatons, but machinery. There seems to be machine dogs and bats and eagles. There are a couple more things that you would consider automatons, but
I can get an eagle.
As we pass by that, Nari would like to say, are you making your own pets?
no, that's not me. That's Marjorie. I'm sure you'll meet her at some point. She's a little.
I like her already.
And then as you guys are rounding the final section, as he's kind of leading you through the place, there is a very, very sleek set, silver bordered automaton. A creature made of metal, these sleek, curved areas. It's as if Warden is the big gruff version of automaton, and this is the prim, the proper, the
feminine.
not necessarily
Diet
feminine.
Warden.
Diet Warden.
Does it look similar to what I looked like as A6?
No. You were built with white stone. You were a little bit taller. This creature is very much not set for combat. It's flat.
Combat was my secondary purpose.
It's flat, but its rounded edges come to a flat point where there is no connection in between its legs and torso, and no connection between the two sections of its torso. There is no physical way that this creature should be holding itself together, but it is being held together by some means. And it seems to be going over some notes, as there are just books galore and scrolls and tablets. There are some small toys set in the middle, and what seem to be artifacts or ancient tomes just set around this creature's purveyor ship. Finally, Dr. Botterman kind of sits down in his section, and then immediately just stands back up. He has too much energy. He can't sit down, and he kind of points to you guys to have some chairs, and he's just like, well, I have no clue what I'm bringing you here for, but we can talk in here, at least as far as I can know, without Prometheus knowing what's going on in here. We were told this would be a safe space.
Nibs is kind of
I'll let y'all open the floor first.
just kind of smile and say, "Yeah, do I get the undertones that maybe some of the Prometheus and them are kind of calling the shots, and you're not necessarily free to act?"
Oh, I was kept alive. They killed everyone else.
That's what I thought.
Pretty much, as far as I can tell from Noah's perspective, Prometheus and the others and his brother ship, they came here with their army of the Yuan-Ti, the snake people, and they came to the aid of Asius as we had bargains with them and deals with them. However, Raushan and a few other primordials apparently slayed their wives along with the rest of their purveyor ship back in the mountain where they were held from. And due to their commitments here, they were unable to return immediately. And either way, it wouldn't have worked out because, well, they learned about it after the fold went up. Some people were coming into the fold, whether it be scavengers attempting to find things, expecting everyone to be dead. But that's how we got information during the schism. But after that, and after a few other things that occurred, Asius wasn't really worth defending anymore, so they just decided they were going to kill everything. To establish themselves and to save themselves, because if anything else was alive, they would have attempted to kill them, since they weren't the most powerful in the fold when it went up. There were a few primordials, a few gods that got stuck in here. But over time, they proved themselves. And so they kept some of the greatest minds from each of the civilizations that were in the fold and such, you guys truly being one of them, and in hopes that we would help them destroy the fold. And of course, we all want to be out of here. I mean, I may not like Prometheus all that much, but I want to be out of here.
Can I roll an insight? Well, I don't know if it'd be an insight, but from my memory, how much has these 14,000 years taken a toll on Balderman?
Go ahead and roll a insight.
Yeah, I thought it was
We'll call it insight.
Insight on what he's saying, on his belief. It sounds very logical, but I'd also like to just fervor.
Okay, you can go ahead and roll insight. You can close it.
13.
Let me close this. My whole roll was completely shattered because I rolled on the edge.
Yeah. So 13 on that insight. I mean, it seems very logical. From what Prometheus has told you, well, what do you roll?
16.
16? Both of you guys feel like it's very...
16 plus 7.
A weird thing is that what he's saying appears to have, like, no emotion behind it, no soul behind it. It's just raw logic and facts. Like, he may be a psychotic, he may be having a psychotic break or have already had said psychotic break, but he very much still seems there mentally.
I rolled a 23, so as far as who I knew him as.
You knew Voberman as a very, very well-spoken, not necessarily slow-speaking, but a very well-spoken,
High-mannered.
well-said, high-mannered man. And while it's not that he doesn't have manners and doesn't speak well here, it is far more of a nervous wreck.
It's really obvious 14,000 years has taken a toll.
It's 14,000 years in not necessarily solitude, but
As a prisoner.
set aside pretty much as a prisoner.
In a white box.
And so he
Yeah.
kind of continues. And so they kept a few of the greatest scientists from Utah Lots and over there, one of those green-skinned fuckers from Axlagan. And we...
No love lost for the gift, I see.
No.
I don't know how they seem to be pervading your time as well. my time is long, long ago, the Gith were the most arrogant. And this is coming from realms that had humans attempting interplanar travel with entire cities. The Gith Yankee at this point, they were no longer linked to a Tiamat. They had no gods. They had no red dragons. What they had was the weaponry and the technology and the smarts when it came to divine magic. Non-gifted divine magics to threaten all-powerful creatures, whether that be gods or primordials. They could threaten them without any god or primordial at their back. And they were very, very arrogant about it. So, yes, there is no love lost. And while I can stand Kimra and working with him, I don't like him. He's a co-worker, he's a colleague, not a friend. So he's a prick. I don't like to. You've seen him. We live in solitude together. Of course I've seen it. I'm so sorry. Look, it's only every third Thursday of the month, right? We have to get this pent-up energy out somehow. What?
Oh, so this is canon.
Oh, all of this is all of it.
Absolutely.
Nibs is gonna say, in your guys' research, if the ritual is able to work, and time and everything goes back into the same plane, what's the chances, or that all the age, all the dying, doesn't just catch up with everyone all at once?
We have been placing up some safeguards against that. I mean, some of us already were immortal before the fold went up, so it didn't necessarily matter in most situations. However, for many of the Yonti army, Prometheus and his brothers went on that immediately. They started ritually developing spells to immortalize pretty much everyone here. And unless the fold breaking does something really, really weird, which obviously will likely happen, all of them should either live forever or live forever up to the point of the fold's breaking, and then they will go from where they were when the fold began.
So one last question for you. The magical contract that you signed with my friend over here, how does it vary from the kind of contracts that the others have to sign?
Can you talk to me what your...
Okay, so he signed a contract with Nick. As soon as it was done, it was agreed on, it burnt and disappeared.
Was it... I thought it was...
You guys,
Prometheus.
It was Prometheus who
Prometheus was
set
on
the contract.
Oh, okay.
Prometheus said, yeah,
Okay,
sure, I'll do that.
he was sitting there when it happened. He saw
He
it.
was sitting there
Okay.
when it happened.
Oh, and I would say, and that contract is the same way the contract that we all had to sign with him. It vaporized and burned up when we were going to sign it. Alright. Nibs is going to go, basically Nibs is going to say, did you all sign contracts? Have you, like this?
We have signed some contracts. Not necessarily for as... what should I say? No offense, but selfish reasons. We have signed contracts, yes.
Alright, here's my question. I'm not familiar with any magic or contract that once stated and both parties sign, that it can be reinterpreted. But to all of my ability an insight into him. He wasn't lying when he said he'd modify our contracts if he didn't feel we were living up to his expectations, regardless of the letter of the law. And is that just simply a matter of power in the Fade, or is it? Do you? Maybe this isn't maybe this isn't your area of expertise, but I find it quite intriguing that he has the ability to counter a magical contract after it's already been implemented by magic itself.
He kind of holds up a finger and does a few hand motions. From what you can tell, it's not necessarily him casting a spell by any means. It's more like a warding for good luck and such. And then he continues, I mean, it's what you get for signing a contract with the man who gave arcane magics to mortal races.
Well, it's not like we had a choice. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not like we had a survivable choice. And he says, based off of their actions up to this point, if we are successful in our end of the bargain, do you believe that they are the type to honor the contract, or should we just write our lives off now?
Prometheus and his brothers, as much as I may not like them, were, at least, genuinely good folk.
Who murdered their family?
Raushan and some other primordials.
Okay, so he did not murder. I misheard that.
What angered the primordials to do so?
They were at war with the primordials and the gods.
Well,
Not yet.
not yet.
Well, they was all boiling to it.
No.
Some of the primordials, so there's hundreds of primordials and hundreds of gods. Some primordials were aligned outside with them just being, okay, there's a primordial camp, there's a god camp, there's a titan camp, and then there's mortal camp. It's not like that. They were all intermingled together. Some gods, some primordials, and some titans all were in one corner fighting against some gods, some titans, some primordials over here. It's not like one race.
Well, what I'm
against
saying is
all.
Like Indians and pioneers in.
But what I'm saying is like those factions were all butting heads. And,
They were slugging it out.
yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. Some, you recognize it was called a betrayal. So it wasn't just, oh, they got to our home and killed our families. It was a betrayal. Either way.
Yeah.
So, Prometheus continues.
That's not Prometheus.
Robert?
Not Prometheus, Waberman continues.
Waberman.
Thank you.
Alright, that's all I wanted to ask. I'm going to shut up now.
Anyone
Well, then
else?
Drake's gonna speak up.
Go
He
for it.
got stuck on a very particular thing that he said. He's gonna interrupt even though there's a moment of silence. Just okay, wait a second. You just say that Prometheus gave arcane to mortals? Is that what you
Yes.
said?
Yes.
Did we insight
Go
that?
on, I don't want to know more about this. That is a bomb.
Yes, it is a bit of a bomb. I recognize that now.
Insight.
16.
Go ahead and roll your insights.
14,000 years ago.
18.
What did you say, Jake?
18.
18.
He doesn't seem to be lying.
24.
He's telling the truth as far as you can tell.
Nice.
I mean, he's probably would be considered clinically insane. And having a nervous breakdown seemingly every time.
Is Valverman just like a basic ass human?
Yes, he is a human. Just a flat out human.
But he referenced giving like Prometheus gave magic to mortals. Does that mean he was not made mortal?
He's undying now.
Yeah.
Now he is. I know that. I don't know when that happened, but
He did denote that some of us were immortal, kind of insinuating he was as well, before the fold went up. But that doesn't mean he wasn't mortal at one point and just gained immortality through magic. Either way. Well, that's difficult to explain. Because even me, as nice and old and wise as I am, wasn't alive before the gods came. But as I know it, the primordials were here first, in this realm, and the gods were somewhere else. The primordials were not very creative, but they were not warring either. And they lived genuinely happily for an extended period of time. And then they decided they wanted to create something to live with them, and they created the Titans. And then the Titans started to create and created some mortal races, and primordials decided to jump in, and then the gods came. And they thought they were the top dogs, they thought they were the big shots, and they were welcomed by those who lived here in Elvarin at the time. But over time, the gods claimed more, and their greed and selfishness showed. The primordials finally put a foot down, and the gods originally backed off. But at that point in time, divine magics, or elemental magics, the magic of nature and such, were gifts from the gods and the primordials to mortal races to live in prosperity or to help finish the squabbles that they were having amongst each other. But there was a clear power disparity between the creators and the created. And when I said that they were generally good people, the Titans, being Prometheus and his brothers, and many of their siblings at the time, well, really, there were only 12 of them to start. Either way, they had much more of a connection and much more emotion than that of the primordials or gods. And Prometheus specifically didn't find it fair, so he gifted the arcane magics that he's the purveyor of to some of the mortals, and I think it got more out of control than he originally intended. But it somewhat evened the balance between the mortal races and the gods. Because gods can't reproduce. They can only be created by a following. So when you have mortals who can produce as much as they wish of themselves, at some point, even 1,000 weaker creatures will eventually overtake a more powerful one. And that's how, such as the Gith, became so powerful. They harnessed the arcane with a mixture of the divine that they held themselves, with no gifter, no benefactor, and off of that they were feared. Very heavily by nearly everyone. Even the gods.
I feel like maybe it's a bad idea to let Prometheus out. Maybe.
I'm not going to say you're correct or incorrect, but I have told you, out of the gods, the primordials, and the titans, which ones I would rather have as friends, not just due to their power, but due to their general level of emotional state. The titans are far less greedy than the gods, and, if I'm going to be honest, far more capable in living in a society than that of the primordials. Now, that was 14,500 years ago. And there has been obvious betrayals and emotional hits to the Titans that are still alive.
Just do a Wonder Cider if you don't want anything else, because Wonder Cider is just a catch-all for anything that's not one of those.
Well, you have questions. You have questions, correct?
Thoughts?
You have questions, correct?
Oh, yes, I do. On a separate note, I do also have a plethora of questions for you, Dr. Ball.
Okay.
As my, for a lack of a better term, creator,
Head designer, but sure.
I know I will start with this question. I know I had already been given an answer from Prometheus, but I do want to hear it from you. When it came to the, what was the event called that happened in the city?
It wasn't necessarily called. It wasn't
Anyways,
called something.
during the events of the uprising, and I was frantically disassembled and destroyed. Why?
I feel like that's a fairly easy answer. A6 was not developed for combat. A6 was not developed with the capabilities to defend himself, because it was not expected for him to have to. We fought our way out of the city. We destroyed an Acertron on our way out of the city. The only thing that A6 would have lived on for is the corruption that was overtaking the rest of the automatons in the city. Other automatons, the few that we were able to bring out of the city, that either were developed for combat or could handle themselves in such a regard, most of them still did not survive on their way out.
Prometheus also referred to automaton sapiency as sentiency as corruption. Not sapient.
I was gonna say they're not sapient, but
Sentiency as corruption. While I have obviously undergone many changes since last you saw me, what would be the cause of my sentience if I had never been exposed to such corruption?
I have to imagine that it likely was some tampering, unknowing tampering with your form by those who discovered you. There are many very, very intricate and technical aspects to your cores, and if pushed just in the wrong way could shift things, not to sentiency, but how I see it, likely you were corrupted even in your box. At least that you aside and you just were not activated again until later.
And what of my other intelligence cores?
What about them?
Well, my analysis tells me, and so do my fellow party members here, that I do have 3 other intellect cores missing. What purpose did they serve?
They heightened your intellect and your capabilities to design magical items and rituals of far, far greater levels.
And how would I be able to come to restore these?
From the short scan I did of you, I do not know if we could re-implement them without some major catastrophes occurring inside of you.
Such as?
Implosions, further corruptions, and not just a corruption of sentiency, but a corruption of your just intellect as a whole. It it would be unwise to reintroduce them.
What if we made him a second head? Like a smart one, and then he's the sentient one?
Warden looks at Trek and says, My intellect cores are not stored in my head. They are stored in my core.
Okay.
For lack of a better term, my brain is not in my head.
Oh, that makes sense. I was just thinking we could, like, put it on a different place, and then you don't access it directly. Yeah, we couldn't do that before. Maybe Voberman could help.
The body that you are held in now, Warden, can only withstand so much. Introducing things like the implement that I put onto your arm earlier this evening, that takes up large portions of your energy reserves. Introducing your intellect cores again would also take large energy surges from your capabilities. The more that you put on yourself will drain you quicker.
What about the weight of my sins? No, I know, I'm just kidding. The more sins I take on. No.
So it's like a vaccine. It might make you stronger, or it might give you autism.
Exactly. You can't give too many vaccines to a child at the same time. You have to space them out 6 weeks at
Well. Refocusing back on what he previously had said. With my current form, how far would you say I'd be able to push my modification?
You could likely modify 3, maybe 4 different aspects of your body depending on how large the modifications are. However, again, the more that's on you, the quicker your battery will drain, that's the word. You only have so much that you can store up, and while you have quite a bit stored up, it will drain quickly, and at some points, with all of those added on, your sentinel times, the times where you're not doing anything, will increase tenfold. You can get to the point where you will only have 30 to an hour of active time a day to run that many processes.
If I have to.
If you have too many.
We just store Warden in a little box. And whenever we get in combat, we just
Yeah, you
pull it
put
out.
Warden in the bag of holding.
And then Warden's just like super slow, but he has 1,000 HP, deals 50 damage a hit no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah, anything plus 50. I do wish to speak with you further on possible modifications that I could seek here with the tools and implementations that you have. I did retrieve the original tools from my, what would you say we'd call it, my little room.
Your room,
My
your workshop,
my
your
toy box.
workplace.
My toy box.
Whatever
Whatever
it
it
is.
is.
Your cell.
My from my workshop however, I do not have any power cells or anything of the sort. So I wish to use the technology here while I have the chance.
I do not know if Prometheus or the others will allow it. Recognize you still are far technologically inferior with your people, and you have lived in this technologically inferior world, and therefore are now more a part of it than you are this one.
We can speak on means to implement things that would not break the current society. Speaking of, when we do get rid of the Fold, how do you and everyone here plan to re-implement themselves into our current world?
Well, at least for me, I've thought about it a lot. I don't know exactly. There's quite a few paths that I could take. Just inventing again. Being in a space that I control. I don't even have to leave the Overkeep Mountains. I just need to know that I can.
And what of all the technology that exists within this mountain? And all the others? Is there an actual plan for...
It will be safeguarded. Introduced slowly. Not giving a plasma cannon to a child. Slowly introducing technological advancements.
Plasma cannon to a child.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's not a child.
He's
He's
older.
a retard.
He's older than set.
Until we learned your age, I was easily the oldest in the party.
Well, from the get-go, I already told all of you, Warden had no idea how old he was.
Little
Like I
Nico,
said.
he was like 14,000.
Like I said, until we found out.
Yeah. I can bring up the ideas with you later. If you believe it to push the boundaries that Prometheus has set in place, we can discuss it with you later.
That sounds agreeable.
I do, however, have taken quite an interest in that metal hawk.
Okay. The Metal Hawk.
That metal hawk.
And that was in...
The room with all the metal
Marshall's.
panels.
Well, I can introduce you to Marjorie if you would like. Nari just...
Nari would like a pet.
Well, no, this is the metal pets.
At some
like a metal
point in all of this discussion, I would probably slip away to go look at the plants.
You're gonna go look at the plants?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you kind of slide over, and as you step up to this hexagonal section... Are you trying to sign in, Claire? It's 25392.
It's not asking for one.
That's weird. Because it just sent me a
I
code.
didn't actually sign into Amazon. I signed into the Amazon Kindle thing.
Either way, so you kind of slide away without anyone noticing you. And you go over to the hex area that has all of these plants and such. And you try and step into the circle, and you can't. Like, there is a wall there. After you, like, slam into it, you see some of the plants that seem to be, like, legitimately living. Almost like enlarged Venus flytraps and such. They kind of open up and peer towards you, and then just
They'll just kind of
close as they look away.
Move back and forth, and they just kind of look away.
And a few of them look away, one of them just follows you.
I'm good about it.
Bye-bye.
Who owned
I'm gonna walk
that?
around to the other side of the hex.
You
See if I can go in that side. Is there more of the Venus flytraps over there, or?
The one specifically that stayed on you continues to stay on you. And as you're just walking around this section, one of the like pure white tiles below you just kind of open up, and a platform steps up, and there is a pristine-looking elven man in kind of like almost like a thin layered jumper, a leather jumper that just looks weird. It's not stylistic at all, but it's got like little mossy parts coming out of it. He looks prim and proper still because he's standing very straight, but he's obviously wearing something that's meant to get, a little dirty in. Excuse me, what would you happen to be doing here?
Well, nothing right now, seeing as there's some sort of barrier or...
Yes, I
wall.
don't like people getting in with my plants. People mess with them and destroy them. Have you seen Kimra? He has absolutely... I won't go into it now. Who are you?
Mike?
Kimra is the gift.
Oh.
Mike,
Yeah,
how did you...
kind of new here.
No shit. How did you get here?
Well, I walked.
Well,
He's not wrong.
You're very good at answering questions, but being not answering.
Yeah, you're very good at not answering questions.
But you don't lie. That's that whole Faye thing, except for when you do lie, because you're not Faye.
wait, is he a fair? Or is he not? Oh.
No.
Well, either way, I would prefer you not being around my plants.
How would I make you prefer me being around your plants?
No one is around my plants except me.
Well, obviously that's not the case.
Why?
Not that I'm there, right?
Because people mess with them. They don't understand how to caretake for them. Most of these plants are older than I am.
Ask him about Larry Darkwood.
That might come up in a minute.
Ask him about Larry. Yeah.
Ask him about Larry. How do we help Larry?
Let's go about that. Who's got enough on his plate?
Good God.
I just get like a slightly crooked grin on my mouth, and it's just there for a moment and then gone as I reach into my bag and I just gonna pull out one of the corrupted fruits. Like, I'll give you a trade. This thing to take a look at your plants.
He reaches out, takes it by the tips of his fingers. You see him do this, and the plant opens up, like every molecule separating. Just opens it, closes it back up, holds it. No touching, but you can come in.
Yes.
All right,
Let's go.
cool. I got that from Larry.
Larry.
Yeah. Larry Darko. He's got some friends out west.
You all name things the weirdest things. And he tosses the fruit
Didn't
back.
Larry said that's what his name
Gotcha.
was.
He seems to have like pulled some of the seeds out and such and given it back to you. As he kind of steps in, you notice that you never saw the shield go down, but as you step up to it, you are able to pass through. And I'm gonna say, because obviously I don't have every plant named and such, he kind of goes through introducing you to some of the plants. Some of them are named. You find that some of them are very much alive. You wouldn't consider them sentient, but like animal intelligence levels.
So John,
Sentient?
it's Ron, and Ron.
Ron.
R-O-H-N.
Just introducing you to some of them. He will, like, just purvey you around, show you what's there. There's a lot of very, very interesting things for you as an herbalist. And, like, your cogs are already turning on, okay, what of this could I possibly use in this alchemical like, potion or this or that. He does not tell you anything about how they could be used, like their leaves could be used, or seeds could be used magically, or in potions of any kind. Just introducing you to the plants, showing you what they are, how they work, he's keeping them alive with no sun and no things of that sort. Just all around there. Do you have any questions on any of some of that stuff?
Kind of just getting a general knowledge. Would ask him, so are these currently growing out there, or are these from before the fold went up?
I do not know if there are any of these growing outside the fold. They were flora, specifically for the eastern section of the lake, the Great Waters, whatever you want to call them. They were flora specifically in the groves near the falls, but I don't know how.
Yeah, it's
things
all
have
dead.
survived. It's all dead.
Well, that
Wow.
area.
Just about.
Wait,
There's some other stuff that I found though, and I'll pull out some of the other
Are you talking about
objects
the
that
grove?
we found from
that we went to?
the falls area.
He's talking about the falls,
Oh,
the
falls.
waterfall that was all dead.
You can tell we killed a primordial out there.
He kind of takes it in.
I suppose it's not dead, just not alive in the way that it was.
Well, I mean, it certainly is interesting. I do not recognize any of these plants that you have brought to me. I'm assuming that some of these plants have evolved for their less... At least at first evolved to a less gracious climate and then back to a more survivable one, and probably back and forth quite a bit. Yes, I mean, this is certainly interesting. I'll have to do some research on some of these. Either way, goodbye. And as he does that, he is sucked down below, and you are grabbed by one of the plants, picked up, and set outside the hex.
Nice.
I'm just gonna kind of look around. Just kind of look back at the plant.
If you don't stop, I swear.
Is it the big Venus flytrap that was kind of following me?
That was eyeing you down the whole time, yeah.
I'm just gonna kind of eye it suspiciously, and then kind
As
of
you
go join
do-
the group.
A small, fully covered in green poisonous ick sap, tongue of a sort, come out and just wave, and then slide back in.
Oh, that's a weird plant. I'm just gonna kind of go back over to the group.
How long did you see the gardener?
I mean,
Studying
he
him.
was probably there for maybe 10, 12 minutes.
How long does he need to do that for?
Well, he has to stare at him. He was looking at
He
the
has
plants.
to,
Oh, I was definitely preoccupied.
he was
by
not
the
thinking
plants.
about turning into the scientist,
Yeah.
biologist. Definitely not.
Dang.
Either way, so
Alright.
you guys had begun stepping over towards Marjorie. As you do, you guys are coming up to the area, and all of these metal animals and creatures, as soon as you step within 30 feet, kind of just all peer over to you guys. And you hear, no, it's fine. Apparently they're friends of Boberman, alright? We can let them in, right? And a couple of the creatures are still fine. And you see some, fire in their throats. But she calms them down. It's like, well, hello. And standing in front of you guys is a female gnome who's probably somewhere around 2'8", who is just covered head to toe in these little metal bits and bobs of there's a little a hawk on the shoulder, there's a cat wrapped around, there's a snake pretty much being used as a belt. There's just all these little creatures all over her that are metal contraptions. As she kind of comes up, oh my gosh.
Rough times, man.
I can't do female voices anymore, guys. Boberman, how nice of you to bring some guests. He's like, oh, I can't, I'm gonna go back. And he just turns around and heads back to his area.
What? Hi.
Hello, dearie, how are you today?
Well, I'm here.
I'm Drake.
Hello, Drake. I am Marjorie Brindholt.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Pleasure to meet you, Roger.
It is interesting to see one of my kind so far down the road.
Hello.
Little too much nature around you, if I'll be honest.
Thank you. We've been trying to tell him, but he just won't listen to us.
All those damned tree huggers, you know? No, there's no future in nature.
Much like I see the future you have created, future...
Yes. What is life
Very
without a few
fascinating.
companions?
Yes,
Like
I
a
am
few
very much of this
thousand.
opinion as well. Do you have a favorite companion? Stop rolling.
They're all my favorites. I've created them all with love and care over a very long period of time.
Do you have names for them all?
Oh, yes, there's John and Barry and Richter and Julio and Mary and Jane and she goes through and does not stop naming until you
How do you
stop
keep
her.
them all straight?
They talk to me.
I'm autistic.
That's a better answer.
Better answer. But, I mean,
But
probably true as
Warden
well.
can't say that because he also kind of is himself. So.
They talk to you. They speak to you. Do they like speak the common language, or
It's more, I mean,
is it more
Yes.
telepathic?
it is telepathic. We can communicate with each other, and we have our own communities and conversations.
I see.
Nick is gonna show off.
Would you
Gonna
teach
cast
me
speak
how
with
to?
animals, and just casually in the background, he's gonna make some small talk with some animals.
So
What
you're gonna start
animals?
talking to the Drake
They're not.
dog.
They're
Who's
not.
Literally doesn't care.
Dog is with us. That's the
Dog
only.
is the only animal in this room.
There are no animals.
They're metal animals.
These animals are they're
Mechanical.
literally robots. So like
Dang.
there is a
Ah.
there's literally a cat made of metal.
Right. He's still gonna do it. He's gonna cast speak with animals, and he's gonna see if he can interact with these metal animals. Which he, animal.
He cannot communicate with the animals.
All right.
He cannot
I
communicate
cast it.
with these metals.
Can you like roll an animal handling?
They're not animals, though.
Sure, go ahead and roll an animal
I
handling.
don't know though. What?
You know, like, they're made of metal. They are very obviously made of metal. These are, it's not like, oh, it's a hawk, that, oh, actually it's made of metal. It's, no, this is a metal frickin' hawk.
Right. Was it squawking though? Was it like?
Yes.
Was it
Bird sound.
squawking?
Yes, like, it does make bird noises, but,
It isn't language.
no, it is not language.
He's meaning with.
Okay.
So it's not. It makes noises, but it's not like an animal.
It makes noises, it is not an animal. It would be considered a construct. It would not be considered a beast.
So you're saying I cannot
Communicate with them.
interact with them?
Interacting, yes. Communicating, no. Like, you can... interacting is just, like, touching, feeling, being with, and manipulating something. Like, you can do that. It's a dog. You can pet it. But
Right.
that doesn't mean you can talk to it.
I do something like that, like a toothless moment, where I get on their level and not even crouching, and then just like, I don't know, touching its head carefully. Would that be animal handling or what?
Go ahead and roll an animal handling, yeah.
Damn. Can't speak with animals. Animal handling.
30-20.
Oh,
30,
damn.
20. So they're established as meant to be acting like animals.
Well, yeah, I know
But-
that. I know that. That's it's just cracks me
So
up.
with a 20, this dog, who's kind of about the size of like a general lab, you would say, kind of like wags its metal tail and is actively hitting other
Wait,
creatures.
Don't
as
they
it
have
does
like
so.
this almost the same body mass?
Yeah.
So, well, besides the fact that it's
No,
metal,
this
so
is
it's
big.
heavier.
This is probably heavier.
Well, it's
like,
heavier,
that far
but
away.
what I'm saying is like size-wise.
Size-wise-
he's about the same size. As
The lab's probably bigger than him. Like he's not very large. Either way, this creature is like wagging its tail and kind of like hopping around, and then you see like it's almost red in its stomach begin to come up to its throat as it literally just pounces on you and begins licking you with a very, very hot, like metallic tongue.
Cool. Fire is my thing. I'm not immune to it though.
No, you're not. It's not like you're taking damage. It's almost like someone is licking you with the like warm, hot shower water. That it's like,
Like
"Ugh,
a
I don't want
spoon. It's like they're dragging a spoon across your mouth.
Yeah.
Hot spoon.
I'll kind of do it back to it, not with my face though, but with my hands. I'm gonna produce flame and hold it back at first and see how far I can take it before. I don't want to hurt him, basically.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, it's completely immune to fire, from what you can tell. So you kind of like put your hands up next to it. It doesn't seem to like it by any means, but it doesn't dislike it. It's just like, oh, it's indifferent to it.
Why didn't you just lick it yourself? Your tongue is warm.
Because I can't produce flame out of my mouth.
He thought that was something he would like. He's trying to connect. He's trying to have a moment. He's lost all his pets.
It's like a fire metal thing. I don't know metal, but I got fire.
He gave
I was gonna
away
hit him
his
with
last
fire.
pet,
Yes, it's wrapped around your neck.
so I wouldn't say he lost all his pets. Okay, there
I
is something
forgot I
wanna
have
do.
the snake.
There are things I want to do.
What's the snake's name again?
But I gotta go take care of
Twig.
Okay.
Twig.
But there are so if other people want to move on and
If Nari
things, I
doesn't care, then maybe she should roll.
I do want to talk. I do want to hang out with
I want to ask Marjorie.
Mhm.
Would you be willing to teach me how to make one of these, or?
I'm
how-
sorry, dearie. I don't believe you could.
Maybe if I really tried.
Trying can only go so far. Some
That's fair.
are just not skilled. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna like recompose myself from acting like I was gonna beg on my hands and knees for one
Okay.
of these. Oh, of course, I wouldn't. I wouldn't dream of reaching your intellect. Perhaps observation should be enough.
You may observe, you may pet, you may play with. If they wish to connect with you, you are more than welcome to. These are welcome to roam anywhere in this chasm. I would be wary. Don't let them lead you down corridors or anything of the sort. They like to play tricks.
Ah, so they are intelligent creatures as well.
Somewhat.
Fascinating.
Yes, yes. And she seems to be like falling asleep. As
You
this
all right there?
I'm tired. I've created 14 new creatures today. Yes.
Have you had any sustenance?
I haven't slept in 48 days.
I hear that's bad for your health. Have you considered sleeping?
Well, when you're immortal, it doesn't really matter.
I feel like it does slightly. Being immortal doesn't take away the chance for sanity to leave or come and go as it
At
may
least
please.
I have my pretties. She kind of looks over, first glancing to Voberman, and then over to Kimra. At least I have some sort of connection. Unlike some others here.
What do you mean by connection? To your sanity?
Well, I have creatures to be around and to enjoy my life with. They just sulk in their corners. Now, this is the most excited I've seen Voberman in probably 1,500 years. But it is still obvious that he's a little off.
From normal? Or just...
From-
And then I'm just gonna...
Just being, generally just being someone is strange.
I did notice that. He's strange.
Yes, everyone here is, if I am to be honest, but that's what happens when you have an army of snake people designed to infiltrate, assassinate, and destroy civilizations, along with 7 of the most powerful beings in existence. Things don't go to plan, as always.
You got me there. Although I do think the optimism might return with at least 1 out of 48 days of sleep.
Possibly. I will give it an attempt. Now shoot. And all of the metal creatures go from like being playful to almost unalert as they all like make a wall and begin pushing you out of the
Mike,
hex.
okay. Yes, ma'am. Have a good nap.
Even the cute dog that really loved me a second
Even
ago.
the cute dog goes from licking you to picks you up by like the back of your shirt and drags you out of the hex, drops you, and then starts wagging its tail again on the inside of the hex.
I raise my hand, be like, I really want to keep Bucko. I don't know how to pay you, but I really like this dog.
She did say that these creatures can pretty much go wherever in the chasm. So go ahead and roll another animal handling. Bucko does not follow you.
Got a 20 before. Oh.
So, I know Thomas said he had something. My gosh, his phone is aggressive when it buzzes.
It is so aggressive. I can hear it in a different room where there's noise. Like, he could be playing his video games in the other room. I can hear it in the bedroom.
Yeah. So, what are you guys wanting to do at this point?
Nibs has pretty much just been quiet most of the time after he got those questions answered. He honestly is just trying to deal with the fact that he doesn't want to say too much or think too much.
Yeah.
He thought it would have been better just to have stayed on the ship with Dog. But he's just kind of been petting Dog and keeping him close, staying close by him. And that's all he's really been up to. He's eyes open, looking around, watching, listening, taking notes mentally.
What did I miss?
Dog.
Just unnecessary conversation. What did you have?
I take notice to one of the larger birds, like a falcon or something, that I see.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to walk up to it, and as hearing all the conversation and things going on, I want to, when she mentioned telepathic, I want to try to think towards it and say hello.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a... You know what, we'll just stick with the thought process. We'll call it an animal handling.
Oh, damn it. Oh, well, actually, no. I have a +4 on this.
Ah, yes, the robot. Has +4
I
on
like
it.
nature, remember?
That doesn't mean nature likes you.
From one construct to another. That is a 19 + 4, that is a 23.
23? Okay.
From one construct to another.
So as you kind of step up and you just kind of like reach out with your mind, you sense something. And you kind of reach out to it. And you just hear, "What you want?"
It's Kex.
Please call it Iago.
Why?
Isn't that the
It's the
parrot
parrot.
from Aladdin, right?
Yeah.
Iago? Yes!
I don't want the parrot.
Call it Iago. Please.
No.
What do you want?
It's just Kex, guys.
Not quite. It's close.
It's very close.
So,
Warden is going to say, or think, I have just taken interest in this place, as one construct to another. My name is Warden.
hi, I'm Ego.
Ego. That's close enough, ain't it?
No copyright infringement here.
No
Yeah.
copyright infringement.
Yeah,
We're
no
good.
copyright infringement, Disney, don't worry.
Disney ain't gonna catch us today.
as they care.
You'd be surprised. I gotta get those money since Disney Plus is gone.
How long have you been around?
About 1,300 cycles.
I'm gonna tap my chest and say, wait, 1,300, that's 1,300 years or so? Or 1,300
You don't know if
days.
saying cycles is a day or a year. It just said cycles.
I'm just going to point to myself and say, 14,000 years.
Years?
Apparently.
What's a year?
What's a cycle?
A period of time. I don't know. That's just how we do time.
I'm going to turn to, what's her name?
Marjorie.
Marjorie. Ma'am, what do cycles convert to in units of time?
So Marjorie, as she's talking with these people as you're off to the side, she kind of looks at them. Oh dearie, a cycle here is how long it takes before we put a mark on the wall. About 5 or so years is every cycle for us.
So 1,300 cycles times
It's about 6,500 years.
A little more than that, but yeah. In that case, I'm gonna.
What drugs are you doing?
What? 65? 13
So if
times 5.
where are you getting 13?
You said 1,300?
1,300 times 5 is 65.
It is?
Yeah.
13 times 5 is not 60.
Because 1 times 5, 3 times 5.
No,
Yeah.
you are right. You're right.
Yeah, it is.
I am the math person at my work. Do not challenge me with basic arithmetic, okay?
I was like,
I was tripping over the. I was tripping over the 3. I was, for some reason, a 7 popped into my mind. And I was like,
Yeah, 13s mess everyone up, but 65 is half of 130.
So,
You said 5. That's right.
so that's almost half my lifespan. So I would say mine's about 14. No, wait, about 2,800 cycles.
Give or take, yeah.
Well, 2,800 cycles, if my math is correct.
Okay. What does age have to do with anything? We all have been around a very long time. You're just a bigger hunk of metal than I am.
Bones jelly.
Well, what can your metal do?
Fly.
oh yeah, you be there.
Yeah.
Too bad we can't hear this conversation.
I'm going to
I know, right?
non-hostily, as in slowly, non-hostily flip one arm into your claw, the other arm into the grapple.
Not hostily. I pull out my weapons, alright?
Well, I'm just showing him what I can do. Like it's obviously I'm not saying anything, but I'm like kind of interacting with this hawk, or this falcon.
Okay.
So I'm going to kind of just like show some of the things I can do,
Okay.
and then and then I'm point to my crest, which is also on my chest, and say, and I can cast.
Don't give a fuck!
What's a cracker?
Anything else you can do besides fly?
What does it matter? At this point, with your delay, it just kind of looks at you and kind of looks over to Marjorie and just hops up and flies and lands on a perch just behind her. And Marjorie just kind of looks up at it, looks out to you, sees that your like weapons are out.
Oh, I'm gonna quickly retract them. Marge, I'm gonna immediately say there was no hostile intent. We were just showing each other's capabilities.
Sure. And at this point, it was already discussed. That conversation had finished, so this is coming back into the conversation to do stuff. And so about at that point, things are wrapping up. Her and Nari are talking about how sleep's important. And Marjorie's like, all right, well. And you guys are kind of pushed out by all of the constructs.
Meg tried to woo a metal dog, and the dog likes him, but in the end, he was not able to convince it to leave the circle.
You tried so
Hard,
hard.
blasted off. So, you guys step out from Marjorie's hex. What are you guys looking to do? Bobbinman's over at his section. You guys could go out and do something else. It seems that at least for a short period of time, you guys are kind of left here with your own devices.
I'll go to the dwarf.
You'll go to the dwarf.
I would like to explore.
Careful.
Well, it seems like there's someone with history.
If there's other exits besides the one.
There is one
There's
exit
just the
to
one in and
this
out?
room. It seems that there are like places.
I mean, just in general, like the chasm in general.
The chasm. There is one exit at the top. To explore this whole place would take you a year. Like it's a huge chasm with a lot of rooms inside halls.
I don't want to explore rooms as much as halls, maybe.
Okay.
But even so.
Well, even that would take you very, very long period of time. It's not just like this is a Walmart or an IKEA. Let me just go look at everything. This is like the IKEA from what's it called? Barnes and Nobles. No, the one wiki. What is it?
Wiki?
You're talking about the SCP.
SCP.
Oh,
The IKEA in SCP is literally unending.
It's an
It
infinite
is an
IKEA.
infinite place.
Yeah.
Infinite IKEA. So this
Are there
place.
faces
I mean,
and mannequins that try
so,
to tell you the story?
let me ask this about Ward. So we were told to come here after we got done.
Mhm.
We show up. We're told, hey, we want you all to kind of stick together. Then we're told, hey, you can go down to the lab and see it. We see the lab. But my understanding is we were brought here
Why
for
are
a
we
particular
here?
reason. For some
It
stuff.
seems that as of right now, things are being gathered, and during that time, you guys. were
So
kind of-
we are.
You guys are under Voberman's purveyorship as of right now,
and he doesn't really care.
and
what
he
we
doesn't care.
So we can wander around and get into some sort of trouble, and it'll come back on him and us.
Yes.
So
Well, there are other rooms. We've only been to now 3 of them.
Nibs will take Dog and go back up to the dining hall because you can
You don't
think
want to go to
food.
the histories lady.
You can think food, and it shows up.
Yeah. That's enticing for both Nibs and Dog.
I guess
There
that's-
is so. This Nibs is extremely not okay with this place, with the people who are here and stuff. Nor does he really. Yes, there is books, there's information here, but the things that are important to him, he won't get access to.
Yeah.
So it's a waste of time.
Yep.
So that's where the 2 of them are going to go. Go back up, and they're going to eat as much dragon as they can.
Is anyone else going to take their leave up to the dining hall?
I'll go up.
I'm going to the dwarf.
Nari's going up. Where's Drake going?
He is stubbornly going to try a few things to get the dog to leave. Whenever you're ready.
He fails.
Damn.
He's gonna be there all day, Zach. That's it.
And that is fine. I guess your character doesn't get to participate in anything else.
That's what he is. Sorry, that's what he
So
does.
Nari's going up for food. Mikhail,
You
you're
I'm
two
watching.
are-
trying to remember exactly what he said
Zareth
when
and Zai will also go up to the
realized that I was a shape changer.
What?
Who?
because it came out in
Yeah, it
the dinner
You
at
asked,
first.
yeah, how does my you look, or something along those
Yeah.
lines.
And then he kind of just talked shit
Yeah,
about
He
well,
judged it.
my
yeah.
version of him, and
Well,
then
immediately,
he
immediately he
comment
took his
about-
fork and stabbed it into the table. But
made a comment about
You're dead. You're so dead. I'm going to kill you so we're out of here.
about something about me being a shape changer, and something about the Feywild. I can't remember exactly.
It was something along the lines of he knew of creatures that shape changed, but not a creature called a shape changer. As in, possibly your race was not actually in existence
Okay.
pre-schism.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I couldn't quite remember. Because I was thinking I might go hit up the libraries if I can find one.
Okay.
But
the library
given
is like
that
one of the
tidbit,
rooms.
more than likely they would have probably no information whatsoever on my race as a whole, let alone anything that would be useful to me.
Yeah, probably not.
So I would probably just go back with the rest of the party.
Okay. So it is literally just Warden
And the
Go.
dwarf.
going to the dwarf.
Yes.
So you kind of step over, and the dwarf is still just in his spinning chair, going in circles.
I'm going to, just walk into the room and so he crosses.
Yeah, it does not
Eyes.
seem to have any like magical defenses around its outer walls, and he just keeps on spinning.
I walk in.
He's still spinning.
Hello.
Just keeps on spinning.
May I ask why you are spinning?
He just keeps on spinning.
I'm spinning, spin.
And he's not even like pushing himself with his legs. The chair is just spinning. Not at a super fast rate, but at a rate of like you could perceive what's going on around you.
You said there are hundreds of assortments of weapons and armors and items.
Yes.
I imagine that the chair is squeaking too as he does it.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
just sitting there in
100%
silence, and it's just.
Jade can't hear that, but there's a chair squeaking.
Chair is very, very quietly squeaking. Warden is going to scan around the room and look for any item or armor or weapon that may catch his eye, using kind of using analysis to get a basic idea of like any of the more powerful items and weapons and armors.
Okay, go ahead
See what I
and
see.
make an Arcana check.
Alright.
Oh man.
You could just move this stuff over and then that there, but
That is a 13 plus 6 is a 19.
19. There are a lot of very, very powerful weapons here. You would guess anything from like +2s, flame blades, blades dipped in acid that seems to never go away. There's just everything here. There's extensive plate armors. He himself seems to be wearing a set of plate as of now, just spinning in his chair. Many of these items and weapons, you are not able to like discern what they do.
What about of items in those armors and weapons?
There are a few like wands and rods and rings and such just littered about the room.
I will take a closer look at shields. What do I see? As far as
You see magical shields. Like, you can't discern exactly what an item does just by looking at it.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can say, hey, this is a magical shield. But it's not, hey, this is a magical shield that repulses enemies when they get within 5 feet.
Yeah, that would take a more in-depth analysis as well as. I am going to. Any of them in a dwarvish style?
Fair few of them.
Okay, I am going to walk up and touch one of them.
Okay, as you do, I want you to make a wisdom saving throw.
God damn it.
So as you go up and you just kind of like grab the lower end to kind of take a peek behind it, you feel a presence in your mind.
Oh man. Wisdom save. That is a 10 plus 7, 17.
You are held in place as your hand is slightly moved off of the shield so that it's no longer touching, and you hear the squeaking come to a halt as 2 metal boots hit the ground.
I was trying to figure out how to talk to him. I figured it out.
And you just hear, "Oi, you white cunt! What you touching other people's shit for?" And you can move your head at this point, but your body's still kind of stuck here. So you can kind of like peek over and barely get him in your view.
Ah. Hello, sir. I see that you are finally up from your spinning.
That's Gary to you. Mr. Gary.
I am Warden. Nice to meet you, Gary. I am also a blacksmith. I am assuming that you are.
Why would I give a shit?
I was just appreciating the works that you
You can appreciate with your eyes, not your hands.
These people are old and grumpy.
Yeah.
They're all old and grumpy or sad or crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Literally
sad and
every
crazy.
single one of these people. Although, to be fair, I suppose if I had been stuck in a hole for 14,000 years...
They're not necessarily stuck in here, but the people to socialize with are literally snakes. So, like...
I get it.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
I would be too.
Then as I look at this shield here, please tell me with your mouth more about this shield.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check.
God damn it, I'm not good with charisma.
Yeah, you suck at charisma. That's the only thing you suck at.
It is the only thing.
2.
You do not persuade shit.
So as you do, he's just like, that right there is the light bearer shield. That's all you're gonna get. Alright? Bears light. Why the fuck are you here? Disturbing my peace.
Well, I am here with Dr. Vollerman.
That cunt. And he just walks off to go talk to the barberman, leaving you stuck there, just...
God damn it. Can I run a more in-depth analysis on the shield in front of me?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna sit there.
Now
Sure,
that I
go
know,
ahead and-
now that I know that it is the light bearer shield, it produces light. What else does that?
Sure,
do?
go ahead and roll another Arcana check.
Yes. That is a 17 plus 6 is a 23.
Did you go back up to the...
No, he's staying with the dog, trying to get
I'm
the
with
dog.
Doug. Am I like right down that? I imagine
You're
like,
pretty-
right down the hallway. But
So it's one large open room with like hexes that have been assigned to these people. And so like you're kind of on the opposite side of the room from him.
so where did goes on there?
I'm frozen.
Uh-huh.
You can talk.
Wait, what did you say?
I'm in the same room as you. I'm trying to get a dog to leave a hex. Like
Well, yeah, I'm on the other side of the room. But
I mean, you don't need to call for me. It's fine.
I mean, this is.
I am trying to discern
What do you roll on that
how.
shield?
23. There's a
So with the
17
23,
plus 6.
You looking at this item would guess that it has some sort of, obviously, light-bearing potential, whether that be something like the daylight spell or possibly something more powerful that you can cast through it. There are definitely spells that are cast through this shield.
More like radiance-based spells.
Radiant spells, just things to clear space, give light, possibly even damage foes. You don't really have a good idea. I would like you to roll perception at disadvantage, as other corner of the room is Voberman and Gary having a bit of a yelling match.
I guess I am trying to listen to it. That's a 17.
So I can hear it pretty well then.
Well, hold on. You said perception.
Yeah, you are
So
closer.
there are 4 corners. You are not closer than him.
Hold on.
He is in.
7.
So think of it. Oh, this is hard to describe with you there. So the room is here. He is here. You are here. Discussion is here.
Got it.
So you're 2 points of an equilateral triangle.
Exactly.
So if you're a part of our telepathic connection, you could work together to figure it out, but you're
Well, this
not.
phone is
R.I.P. homies.
Well, I rolled a 24 and a 16. So
24 and a 16. So the 16 is the lower.
Yes.
You hear a lot of swearing coming from Gary. He does not seem to be happy that people got brought down into his space. You can't make out specifics, but you hear some specific trigger words that kind of, not racial trigger words, but just trigger words that come to mind.
Pancakes.
Things like Bane. You hear Epatus, Council, Quirins, just some weird things that it's like, he's emphasizing some of these words, Gary is, because he's the louder of the two. That's not what you wanted to do.
I hit a weird key combination and a different screen popped up on
Top of
my
his.
iPad that I did not want to do. I just wanted it to paste.
That's when you go,
And it
oh!
brought up a whole screen of like, these are command codes.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't need them.
Change that question mark to an exclamation mark. See what happens.
Pancakes.
After about 5 minutes, Voberman and Gary kind of come back. Gary just with this strut in his walk, as you seem
How
to
tall
be.
is this dwarf?
Gary's about probably like 4'2". He's not small.
He's on the
but
small
he's
end of it.
well,
Well, actually, no.
he's
It's
on
kind
the
of an average.
He's about average for a dwarf.
Yeah, the taller dwarves are like 5'5".
Yeah. So he just kind of struts over, and as he does, he comes over and touches you on the leg, and seemingly with no effort, just picks you up with one hand, walks you outside of his little hex, sets you down. You're under Voberman's care, so I can't do shit to you. But don't touch my shit. And a wall goes up in front, and like a metal wall just shoots up in between you and him. And Voberman's like, you should be more careful not to touch other people's things. Especially when they're old, grumpy, and have had a lot of time to develop power.
Turning to him. Am I able to move now?
Yes.
Okay. I tried to communicate with him, but he just kept spinning, so I thought I would admire some of his work.
Just don't touch anything without express permission. It will get you vaporized. With that, he's like, you should head back up to the mess hall. I believe some others are looking to have a discussion with you. I believe Amesciosis and Epatus are interested in meeting you. I will go get your friend if you wish to make your way up.
Oh.
And with that, he kind of steps over to you who's trying
God,
to
he is in
coax
the room
the
again.
dog out of the hex. And he's like,
I'm
Drake.
not just coaxing, okay? I got my staff involved, okay? I've been throwing that, trying to do bench. I tried to do tug-of-war with my movable rod so that I could pull it out. It didn't work either. I tried begging it. I tried literally pretending I had food. I gave it my rations. Nothing is working. Unless you let me look at it.
Yeah, nothing's working. So after, like, legit 30 minutes of this, you feel a hand on your shoulder as Barberman is there like, Trick, right?
Yes.
I believe it's time for you to go and stop terrorizing Marjorie's friends.
He's happy.
He kind of looks over and the dog is pretty much no longer paying attention to you at this point.
Man, he's living in his own world.
And he's like, I believe it's time to go. You can meet with your friends back up in the dining hall.
Is
You
Barberman
make me
walking
one of
with
those?
us?
Can I make you one of the constructs?
And you?
I mean, why?
I don't know. I don't know how much you like me. I just really want one.
He kind of puts his hand on your shoulder, looking down at you, and your just tiny stature, and is like, Drake, you do not always need more, and I'm terrible at talks. And as he touches you, you just teleport.
I'm terrible at talking.
I'm socially awkward. Ah, shit. And you just disappear, and you appear in a seat, and Dog is voraciously eating just a massive plate of dragon meat
Right in front of you.
right in front of you.
We're talking about Dragon Dog now.
Yes.
Vic has an idea. To start feeding Dog and befriending it. Only thing
You're like leagues behind on that, bud.
You are.
I don't care.
What?
Animal handling is out of this world.
Go animal handling with disadvantage. As you attempt to hand feed Dog, or something along those lines.
Alright, first one was a dirty 20. And then a 12.
And then a 12.
Not great.
He's gonna get his hand bitten off.
Dog absolutely does not give a crap about you. Now, Dog doesn't really give a crap about anyone, if we're gonna be honest. He gives a crap about food. And there's food in front of him, so he's eating.
It tolerates me at this point.
Yes, sure.
No, I'm at ground zero.
Well, he's not really attacked anyone, so he's tolerating everyone.
Don't try to aggravate it in the non-hostility zone.
So, as you guys kind of regather at the table and possibly get some more food, after about 5 or so minutes, Prometheus kind of makes his way up the steps.
Did Dr. Barberman walk with me back? Or?
No, he did not.
Okay, I just walked back.
You see Prometheus kind of enter the room and sit down at the table and say, I hope that you have found yourselves some interesting things to look and talk to down in the lab. Some of my brothers would like to meet you and discuss some planning and such before you take off. Is there anything you would like to do? Because after this conversation, you likely will not be here much longer.
I told Barberman that I would be back to discuss a couple of things about a couple of questions I had about self-modification.
You may stay the evening. At this point, it's about 4 or 5 p.m. in the late afternoon. You may stay the evening if you would so wish. But come morning, will be leaving. So, depending on how long this takes, you may have some time for that.
Thumbs up.
Are you all ready?
Hi.
Aye.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I get a new staff with like my mark in it.
So
He
Nibs has,
completely disregards you.
Nibs has filled up any room in his bag holding his dragon meat.
He's filled up his bag holding with dragon meat.
Yeah, he's just been up there eating. His dog's been eating. He just keeps thinking.
Let's see if it's still there when you try and pull it out.
Yeah.
Summoned food into another dimension. What happens when you put summoned food into another dimension?
And then leave the
It all depends on.
sub-dimension
Yeah.
that it was created in.
I'm just thinking about like the grape group food
There's, like,
episode
so
from
many,
SpongeBob.
Oh, it's. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
doubt it'll
tiers
go
there.
poorly, but he's gonna try.
Oh, it's definitely worth trying. I don't know that it will work, but it's
Yeah.
definitely worth
He
trying.
wants to. Between him and that little guy.
Got some,
My bad, friends.
What are you
going
playing?
over there?
She's just looking up some porn over there.
No.
What are you playing?
CDC.gov solve the outbreak. I forgot I had this in my bookmarks bar.
Oh, cool. So
So you're playing Plague Inc.
Yeah, Plague Inc. essentially.
But the CDC.
But the CDC.
You're playing the
.gov
Wish version of.
No, the
Plague.
government
She's,
sanctioned
pl-
version.
she's playing the
CDCs.
the version that gives them ideas.
Yeah. A startling outbreak has been reported in Chicago and Milwaukee. Within the past 2 days, 15 people have visited the emergency rooms complaining of high fever, fatigue,
That's not-
coughing, chest pain, and difficulty
15
breathing.
people is not.
Several people have died and others are near death. Your help will solve the outbreak.
That's not a base level of patience for an outbreak. It's nowhere near. Anyway. 15 is nowhere near the number it needs to be for that. Anyway. So Prometheus kind of stands up and leads you guys to the center spire.
Fire by fire.
The spire by fire.
Yeah.
And you guys step into this spire, and it's not all that different from the rest of this place. It's smooth stone, metal, silver, iron, like wrought iron and cast iron built into the poles and the support beams. Very obviously industrialized place still. And as he begins leading you up and around this tower, the people that you see are far, far different. They are the snake people, the Yuan Ti, but not all of them are just mostly humanoids. Some of them, their bottom half is completely that of snake. Some of them have a pair of snake heads for a head. They have 2 of them. Others are nearly completely snake creatures. There are a vast array of... You sense that this is kind of the military side of the chasm, or at least the side that houses the more militaristic groups of this civilization.
Yep. The
So-
ones that smack heads and enslave others.
Yeah. So you guys are led through the place. Go ahead and make some perception checks as you're led through this.
Dirty 20 again. Let's go.
Let's go.
God damn it, you're grounded.
Not
That
good.
is tough.
Whale. Whale.
Nibs is just doing his best. Yeah. Just doing his best
Nice.
to keep
12, 8.
keep dog in line. Him and the dog are doing their thing.
Shrek is the only one that rolled worth shit for that
Let's go.
perception.
12 of them.
Yeah. So, as you are being led through this place, you catch out a couple things. One, there is a suspiciously large amount of this white, goopy mixture. Not quite a powder, but something similar to it.
I know exactly what you were
It is
thinking.
not cum. For those questioning.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
It has a much, much thicker consistency.
Oh, so
Almost
you
like
see a doctor.
gravy.
So like horse cum.
Gravy.
Golly, yeah.
So you're not helping.
More like the stuff you put in walls. And
It is a very, very thick powder of a sort.
So like spackle.
Yes.
So kind of like
Yes, we'll call it spackle.
It really is the Grey Goop from SpongeBob. You guys have been eating the fake Krabby Patties this whole time.
Amy.
But there is a suspiciously large amount of it, and at one point you do see one of the snake people snort it.
Oh my.
Nice.
Dangerous.
I can throw that stuff up.
A few other things. You hear a couple names mentioned as you're going through Scardoon, Harapit, and Jeremy are not spelled at all like the Jeremy of our day and age, but Jeremy.
Jeremy's right.
Sure.
Jeremy. And you aren't able to catch exactly with the 20 what they're talking about, but you do hear a couple of those names seemingly speaking about other Yuan Ti. And you guys are led to the top of this spire, at which point you guys sit down and there are 6 chairs around this very, very large octagonal table. There's more than enough room for like 3 chairs in each octagon, but you guys have kind of been cornered off to the last 2, and there are 6 chairs on all of the other ones. And you see 6 people sit down at said chairs.
Dang it.
What?
I was gonna sit in one of the chairs since there's 6 of us. Like, actually, like that'd be the thing. We'd all 6 of us sit down, and then the 6 people would come in and be like, "What are you doing in our chairs?" And go,
No, they're already waiting for you and get seated as you step in. The 2 that you guys recognize is Kronos, which you already met, and Prometheus, who kind of leads you to points for you guys to sit down at a place, and then steps around to the side. As you guys sit down, you see, so those are the 2 that you already know. There are 2 other Yuan Ti looking creatures. One that is dressed in this like thick half plate, just absolute badass looking armor with a greatsword on his back. Actually, a pair of greatswords on his back, X-strapped behind him. Then there's Prometheus, Kronos. There is a drow looking fellow who's set off to the side, who seems to be wearing just a dark purple cloak. Then there is a somewhat like lion folk looking guy off to the side, off to your left, who is just wearing a couple leather straps around himself, and other than that seems to be glowing with a near radiant light. And then lastly, at the head of the table, next to Prometheus and the other Yuan Ti, is the last of the Yuan Tis, who is almost dressed in like noble clothing. Almost as though he's the president of this affair, and everyone else is kind of filling their roles. And as you guys take your seats, the last one that I spoke of, the one in the more noble clothing, speaks up.
What race is he again?
He's a Yuan Ti.
Okay.
Well, welcome to the Overkeep Chasm. I hear Prometheus has spoken to you already about our predicament. And you have signed, correct? Yes. Prometheus has shared quite a bit But I personally would like to know, what was your intent upon entering the fold?
Is he looking at any of us in
He's
particular? or
kind of
is he
like
just
looking
standing?
around to all 6 of you.
Get in, complete our mission, get out, get the collar off.
Alright, yeah, we were sent in to make a map of the area. Once we got
I didn't
in,
want to come.
No one wanted you to come.
and it's like none of us wanted to come here. We were sent by people in power over us. It's like, and then I'll gesture towards Warden Go. However, once we got in and got to exploring, which was one of our mandates, we discovered a bit of history on him, and I think some of us, our priorities changed a bit, and we were trying to glean information on his account.
My intent changed once I discovered part of me within these rooms.
Kind of peering around. Alright. In that case, I am Skiosis, Overlord of the Yuan-Ti Qian Party. And at this point, seemingly the unappointed leader of the civilization here. He looks to his right. You already know Prometheus. And then to his left. Do you say that out loud?
I think it
You think it? Okay.
very loudly. I think it and like glance over at it.
What did you think?
I said, unfortunately,
About knowing Prometheus.
about knowing from
Yeah.
To my left is Apatus. He is the war general.
Is that the UND with ornate armor?
Yes.
What did you say his name was again?
Apatus.
Epictetus.
Then looking over towards the lion-looking fellow. That is Hyperion.
Are you guys all
I'm trying.
brothers? Someone said some of y'all were brothers.
Brothers in arms.
Hyperion Amasteta. Well, brothers is a technical term. We are all created at the same time and can take whatever form we choose. And we take the form of the peoples we relate to or connect with at the time. Or whatever form treats us best when and he kind of nods towards Prometheus.
I see.
And, unless Skiosis picks back up. And lastly, Cryos, who is the drow off to the side. You guys have already met our brother Kronos. Did not seem to have the most pleasant of meetings.
What happened with
I mean, it wasn't necessarily a butting of heads, but Kronos was just not a happy camper. He's just not a happy
Nobody
dude.
here's happy.
No one here seems to be very happy. That's one thing you can notice. Maybe that's, 14,000 years of being locked in the same general area.
I think the only person who has any bit of excitement in them is probably Dr. Vargas.
And the lady who hasn't slept in 42 days.
48.
48.
Apatus speaks up at this point. We here, as the council, have been discussing. You have all been very curious about the technologies of this realm, and we have been very adamant about your lack of use of them. But after some discussion, we will let you take
Give
some
me the
things.
dog.
What?
Tricks.
You kind of get gagged by our driver guy. Probably grabs your.
It is your success is paramount. And we are willing to invest in that. And so some things will be gifted upon you for emergency scenarios. Not things to be used lightly, but things that will destroy themselves upon use. Just in case.
He had to sell his soul for a grenade launcher. Now we're just being gifted stuff.
This is
It works
not...
longer.
His is going to work for the rest of time as long as he protects it. These are one and done.
But he only has one man.
Yeah. But it's a grenade launcher.
Somewhat.
Everyone keeps saying grenade launcher. I have no idea what
Everyone
it is.
of this party, no one who actually knows what it is has said grenade launcher up to this
Yeah.
point. They've been like, oh, that's, yeah, Psychic Lancer, okay. At this point, Cryos speaks up. Well, let's just put it this way. You're the only people that we found that we really believe have even, what is the term, a snowball's chance in hell at possibly getting us some of these items. And we're willing to invest in its success, your success. We do not know what the world looks like now, and therefore cannot tell you where best to begin looking. But we'll be giving you some items that possibly could help you succeed. Due to your not minimal, 6 months is quite a period of time when you have power behind you. And oh my gosh, my voice is getting fucked up. I really am trying to distinguish voices, but I suck at it. So with that, Prometheus speaks up. Well, how about we just give them the shit? And he kind of pulls out from underneath the table, and there is a scroll that he slides over to you guys. There is a little, like, jar, like a mason jar, that the inside is lined with metal bands, like you would see on a prison cell. And he slides that over to you as well. If you have the capability to find a devil and such, if one of you is holding that jar, when it falls, before the body evaporates, as all fiendish bodies do when they die, as they are going back to the hells to be reformed, if you can capture it, it will contain it for a time. The more powerful the fiend, the better, obviously. Such an imp would do nothing. Something more along the lines of a pit fiend would be preferred. If something lesser is all that you can get, it won't do much, but it might do a little bit. As long as we have the other items, we still have a chance. And then the scroll. The scroll is... it will give you the capability to travel where you need to. Where you believe things will be.
Like teleportation of sorts?
Teleportation,
It's a one-time.
plane shifts. It is not one time, however,
It won't destroy itself.
it will not destroy itself after one use. However,
My eyes are gonna, like, glint with interest at the plane shift idea.
However, I will warn you that overuse of an item of this sort is a very bad idea. You may only use it once per day, and you will only get 4 uses out of it. 2 there and back trips. But you must spend a day there to let the item recharge. Ned's just moaning over in the corner.
I'm just sitting here thinking about how we're going to have to spend a day in hell.
I wouldn't mind hanging out at the casino. Granted, it's soul coins, but I'm sure Nibs could bring a lot of souls.
It depends on where you guys decide to go. to find a demon.
Yeah, what
or
level
to
of
find a
hell
demon.
are we
Well,
traveling
what
to?
level of hell are you going to the hells? So devils are all over the place.
We could summon the Sons of Guns or go to a place where they've already broken through.
Yeah, there are plenty of places that hold devils that are far less populated by devils than the Nine Hells. Rather than going into a place and saying, "Hey, we're gonna pick one out of a million," it's like, "Hey, where he has
It's
a whole bunch of allies,"
going into a biker bar
and saying, "Hey,
to attack one biker
yeah,
instead of going to Walmart and hoping there's a biker
Guys,
there.
what if we just
Yeah,
find
exactly.
some cultists, say,
I was just
hey,
gonna say, Nate can make us deal with one.
Yeah.
He can have any issue making a deal. Legitimately. Also, you a piece of my soul if you come up here. Okay, here's the deal. Yep, I'm into it.
that is for your guys' planning. There are definitely ways for you guys to come
Yeah.
across devils that do not require the Nine Hells to be a part of it.
Yep.
Either way, so
Um,
capability to trap a devil, a way to possibly get to one
way to trap one after it's defeated.
after it is defeated.
There's, yeah. I'm going to think to Warden when you go down to talk with your professor friend. Ask him.
Wait,
if
those
there-
were the only 2 items?
Those
No,
were
no,
the 2 items that were given.
I'm just throwing this out to you as he's. Ask him to see if he can modify one of the collars to be able to entrap demons or devils, in case we can't get like imps. Because if we can lock up several of them and just bring them here, then they can kill them and use the souls. And they're just throwing out ideas.
Yeah.
So find out if you can get him to modify the collars to entrap living or to imprison imps or other creatures.
Why don't you come with, small one?
Because you'll get better results.
Understood.
With that, at this point, Kronos speaks up. Well, or kind of looks over to somebody else. Well, I have no care for you. This must succeed. These are items to possibly give you the opportunity to succeed in them. In terms of the Tarask blood, there is nothing we can do to help you. In terms of the Sphinx, we have nothing we can do to help you. With items, I mean, we have about as much value as one could ever wish for, but we could always use more. The last item, the Dragon's Heart. He pulls out a ring and slides it across the table. It will not tell you exactly where, due to most dragons' guarding of their nature and placements. It will tell you if there is dragonkin within 5 miles of your position. Should you be interested in using it. It's not just a passive thing, like you have to use it for it to send out the message.
How often do you wait, is it a one
Is
time?
not.
No, it's an infinite use.
Is a. Oh.
You can use it as
Well,
many
we're just gonna
times.
get pinged every time because
I
we
know,
have
'cause we have a
Dragonkin
wyvern.
and a Wyvern.
Well,
They will.
wyverns are, I don't believe are they considered dragons? They may be considered dragons.
Yeah.
Wyverns
Um,
are Dragonkin.
I don't know.
We just need to drop them off.
D&D calls them dragons, but they are mythologically speaking dragons.
They are mythologically speaking.
I don't know for a fact whether or not they
I believe they're not labeled beasts.
They are not labeled beasts, I do not believe. I'm looking it up right now.
It's magical. It doesn't. It can bypass.
It's magical. Pretty much, it will focus on dragons more than not of adult or larger or higher. So adults are ancients. However, you guys kind of get the idea that no matter what, the more powerful of creature or part of creature that you can get, the better it will be for this ritual. So, the higher up the devil you can find, the better. The more powerful dragon you can find and get the heart of, the better. So, at this point, Skiosis speaks back up. And in all regards, we wish you the best, and wish for you to leave by morning.
I'm gonna reach out and grab the ring
Okay.
before anyone else does. And I'm just gonna think really hard that I want to
Have we
know if
already
there's a
picked up the
dragon
stuff?
nearby.
You want to know if there are dragons nearby?
Yeah.
You do not sense any dragons nearby.
You think they would have?
I'm
Nibs
just
is
gonna
gonna,
hand it to Nibs. I'm like, you don't count yet.
I'm gonna pick up
Nibs
the
is
scroll
gonna
and the
just pick
mason
it up,
jar.
look at it,
Nobody's
and go.
picked them up yet.
It's only fair you take it though.
Nibs is gonna look at it.
Has anyone taken the soul jar?
Yeah, I just took the stuff, the scroll in the jar.
Tee.
Okay, never mind.
I'm gonna hand it back
It's
to
only
you.
those dragons, right?
Okay.
Say what?
Yeah, Nibs is gonna look at it and just look at it for like almost 30 seconds, and then he's just gonna hand it back to you.
Sadly.
Sadly, just
Oh, that's so unfortunate. I get it now. Took me a second. I gotta.
Do we need to bag of holding any of these very important items?
And at that point, kind of seemingly done with their side of the conversation, Meskiosis looks towards you. Do you have any questions for us?
What is this ring called?
I don't have items for any of these set up,
okay.
if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that was what he was asking.
Put it as a miscellaneous item. I'm sure you guys will remember about that.
Really?
Especially Nibs.
I have it in my notes, yeah.
Nibs will remember about that, if nothing else. If you want, I can make something. I just haven't had a lot of time to slave
No,
over
that's fine.
creating magical items.
That D&D system sucks.
Oh, their system for creating magical items is balls to the walls bad.
They haven't modified it since the guy who created the company left.
Yeah.
They have done no improvements on front end. It's all been back end and reintegrating in things that they disabled.
Yeah.
Thank you,
It's-
Dungeons and Dragons.
It's pretty bad.
Hashtag Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Pathfinder's not much better, is the thing.
2.0. I mean,
well-
it's come
well,
a long way.
They haven't.
It's come a long way, but they don't have as easy to they don't have as easy an interface for any of their
Not
online
yet.
stuff.
The-
They're not quite there to
Yeah, the guy who created D&D Beyond
Unless you're
is
bored.
he is the guy who created D&D Beyond is doing a Pathfinder, a Vampire Masquerade, and he's having a system that does all the other systems. He's on their side.
I do have issues with D&D Beyond's creation.
You can learn to
But-
use it.
For the most part, like items, as far as like armor and weapons and just magical items and feats, I've gotten really, really good at. But
Yeah,
I'm
like, it's
working
a
on
skill.
a subclass now. And whew, it is.
I've made a couple subclasses. It
Oh,
is
it's
bad.
horrible.
It is annoying.
It is bad. It's like, okay, let's try adding in like, magical items. Adding the charges alone, like figuring out how to add charges and how they recharge and all of that. Like Darnish Halfplate, it is literally set to include full dex modifier. When I go into edit, it is set to include full dex modifier. It only includes half, just as a baseline. It will not do it. You have to go in and manually change it. What the heck is going on with you, Jade?
Are you vacuuming?
Neighbors.
No, I'm in the guitar. Sorry.
That's alright.
That sounded like a.
That sounded more like a vacuum.
That's all right, man.
Yeah, you're good. I was just curious. It was
It's
just like
not okay. Get it together. Okay? We don't want to hear.
I mean, he has to listen to us carry on about scene.
That sounded
Yes.
like.
I'd rather listen to him play with his G-string.
Okay. Okay.
okay. So you were asked if you had any questions for them. No.
Really?
No, I can't think of anything. Nibs is just that ring kind of did him in.
Completely shut him up.
Oh, it did more than that.
I think
We
we're
finally found something.
good on the questions for now, but if anything comes up, We'll contact you.
How?
All right. And
He has
as you say that, a couple of them immediately go. Kronos with his weird kind of like rewinding time teleportation, as you literally see him just disappear, and then poof towards the like walls, and then just go through the wall. Like you can physically see him just rewind.
They have one of the paired books that can be written, which works in the veil but does not work out of it, correct? While we're in, you can communicate, but if we go out...
Yes, yeah, Prometheus does. have
So
one of those
that's
books.
how we can communicate him. If we need to transfer information, we basically got to go, okay, write something new. You know, send the messages. It's like an old messaging forward system.
Yeah. And so Cryos literally just walks into the shadows and disappears. Hyperion just walks out like a normal human being. And the three Yuan Ti seem to stay there and discuss amongst themselves, expecting you
Nibs
to...
just kind of puts his hand on Nog and walks out. Yeah.
So, yes, there is Epetus, Prometheus, and Skiosis.
I thought Prometheus was Gith.
No, that's Kronos.
I know, I thought they both were.
No.
Got that backwards.
Remember Snake Eyes?
Yeah, it's okay. Yep.
I was like, Prometheus
Yeah.
has been Yuan Ti, the first one that y'all saw. You get the
I don't
idea.
know at what point I knew he was, now that you say that, and then at some point, apparently
It was a sentence last game when we met the other guy. We got it mixed up.
Yeah, you guys did kind of think that Kronos was Prometheus when you first
Well,
met.
because they talked about brothers.
Yeah.
We got confused.
So you guys kind of get the idea that Apetus and Skiosis are kind of the two sides of the same coin, the social and then military leadership for the Yuan Ti society here, and that's why they're Yuan Ti. And Prometheus is kind of just fitting in, whereas the others kind of seem to stick with their old societies that they were a big part of. But at the end of the day, their brotherhood mattered more than what they
Look like.
looked like. So they just kept their face.
Right.
As you guys are walking out of the room, I want you guys to roll a perception check, and I will let you know beforehand this will be a very high DC.
So I better make sure to roll well.
Well, I did not make the DC.
Yeah, I got a 19, so...
Wait, do we have a bard here?
Zai is here.
In theory.
But he's not useful.
I will say the thing about it is the fact that this is more a passive thing that I'm allowing you guys to roll for
20.
because your passives physically cannot meet the DC.
Okay.
My passive is 17.
20.
And I rolled 6.
20 is the highest. I'm gonna go ahead and roll for Zareth.
Dun, 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 dun.
So we're probably gonna have to do soon.
Yeah. Okay. So Zareth rolled a 25.
Wow.
Was that high enough?
Glad we rolled for Zareth.
25 is the DC.
Nice.
However, this is Zareth that all of you kind of have somewhat put yourselves on his shit list. In one way
Except
or
for
another.
Trek.
Except for Trake.
And
kind of
right.
Warden.
and
Trake, Zai, and Warden kind of have not. Everyone else has acted either
Warden
very,
is
very aggressive or antagonistic towards. Mikhail kind of, not as much, but still a little bit.
Warden has already
What?
expressed himself.
Mikhail was the guy who was talking about.
you did all the creepy
You
staring.
did all the
I
creepy.
only took his face!
You literally turned
I
into
only
him.
took his face.
You turned into him and he stabbed his fork to the table and said he was going to kill you.
Okay. You
Yes.
you wished to go talk to Dr. Boberman.
Yes. Oh, I did on the side. I wanted to ask Prometheus that if Vogerman and I had any questions, could he be called upon swiftly?
Repeat that question. I don't know what my brain fart is.
Sorry. So as we were leaving, I did kind of on the side ask Prometheus if Vogerman and I had any if Boberman had a concern or something like that, if
Prometheus
he
could.
be called upon
Yes, he
easily.
could.
Okay. Anyways, yes.
Okay. So you kind of step down to. So you're discussing what possible modifications that you could have.
Yes. But I do start with the request from Small One here, and I say, the kobold in my party has asked if these can be modified in such a way for us to use on lesser devils and things like that for our own use.
Well, yes, so that if we can't get our hands on a big boy,
so that
we could
if we
bring
can-
we could bring live ones back to them for their sacrifice.
Okay.
Multiple little souls to make up for the one big one. Was the
Okay.
thought.
So he kind of takes them. You guys have already kind of shown these to him.
Yep.
we did.
And he turned it down.
And so he. Sorry, you were folding them out. He goes. I could try.
Typically, these collars have a control device. If you believe you could create a control device that could interact with these collars here.
He kind of takes 5 of them. I believe I could possibly, before morning come, manipulate a controller for a small group of these, 5 or 6.
Okay.
I don't know how successful I will be. Generally, I have a lot of time, but this I only have till morning. I will do my best. That is all that I can promise.
Okay. We can indeed wait till morning, of course. No longer than that. Now, as for possible modifications and things like that, if you and I would like to brainstorm on possibility,
Okay. As you guys begin to go through that, or just before, he says, hold on, what's my order? We can discuss late into the evening if we must. And he kind of looks over across the room and meets eyes with a couple of the other people who silently begin to make their way over.
Cranky people.
They were putting on a face.
So it's the ones that come over are Gary, Kimra, and Heskerna, which is the florist. No, the other one. It seems that Marjorie and the automaton do not step over, but they all step over, and Kimra presents 2 orbs that why did I want to call him Prometheus? Boberman takes and sets them on a table very gingerly. Sets them on a table. Just as much as some of the others want to get out of here, so do we. They will not notice that these have been taken. We have spent some time to make sure it is thus. This, he sets one down very carefully. It is the Gravitas discharge. It will destroy everything in a radius. Don't be close to it. Be very careful with it.
I kind of point to my bag of holding, like, okay,
These are Haskram orbs. They are powerful Githyanki technology.
but I can put it in the bag.
Yes. And the other one says, this one, however, you cannot. It will, whoever controls it, it can be used 3 times, period. Not rechargeable, but 3 times. It will bring you and any of your chosen within 60 feet of you. pretty much wherever you wish, out of combat in the nearby area. It's a get out of jail free card.
I was about to say.
Be incredibly careful. And Kimra steps over to you guys and gives you a bit of the lowdown on Hasbram orbs and how they are to be used. Just kind of a blank public service announcement of this is the catchphrase that you use to activate it. This is how you activate it. If you don't, you probably will die.
Yeah.
Hasbram orbs are very, very powerful magics that he's giving you. One as a destroy everything in case we need to in a 60-foot radius. So that's 120-foot diameter. So pretty large area.
When you say destroy everything, is it more of a vaporization?
It is graviton. It is a graviton discharge. It will suck everything in and implode back out.
Kick him down.
It's the Star Wars Episode 2 charge that goes off.
It's not too dissimilar.
Yeah, those are the coolest things ever.
I'm
Yeah,
glad
that's-
that's in my bag of holding. No,
There is one of those. You have one of the big bombs.
And
Yeah.
one
And
Mass-
one get out of jail free card.
Misty Step or Dimension Door kind of thing.
Wait,
It's-
what's the distance you can what's the
Near,
distance?
he didn't give you an exact, just kind of like a nearby area. So if, say, going into Acius and you're like, oh shit, this sucks, you could probably be on the outskirts of Acius with it.
Okay.
From anywhere you are in the city, you could be on the outskirts.
Make sure it's the other outskirts if you're just entering. You're like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. So it's more
No bueno,
a
no bueno.
the nearest safe area that you know is safe. It's not a, okay, I'm going to teleport to another plane or teleport to another continent or anything. It's, I'm going to teleport to a nearby area that I know is safe from which I can run.
Okay.
And with that, Prometheus kind of raises his voice.
I was gonna say.
I want to call Dr. Voberman Prometheus all the time. I apologize. Dr. Voberman kind of ushers the others to go away, and they silently step back over, Gary kind of giving you the stank eye. And
All I did was touch
I
his
still think they're
stuff.
the same person.
Almost touched his stuff.
Well, yeah, almost touched his stuff.
who's the same person?
Voberman and Prometheus.
Voberman. I do mix them up quite a bit.
No, Prometheus is.
They're definitely separate people.
They were
like,
definitely
above board.
just in the same room separately.
Dr. Barberman's way more excitable.
We've seen them both at the same time.
Yes, you have.
Yep. All right.
Anyways,
So
Um,
you discuss.
crashing.
Yeah, I no problem. So you discuss with the evening, and me and you can go over that since that's just between you and Prometheus.
Dr. Barberman.
I just really like the
Are
name
you
Prometheus.
sure?
I really just like Prometheus as a name. That's such a sick name. Let's be honest.
He was kind of a sick dude.
We should name a ship after it. Go exploring the cosmos.
It's
Maybe we
almost-
can find some aliens.
It's almost like he got his guts eaten out by ravens for an extended period of time. So you guys find a place to rest. You are kind of brought to a room that has space for you guys. There are beds. They're not the most comfortable, but it's enough for you guys to sleep. And Prometheus meets you and pretty much sends you off in the morning.
Is the meat in the bag to survive when I go to feed dog?
When you go to feed dog in the morning, go ahead, roll me the D100 and choose odds or evens.
Evens. I think that's a 13.
That is a 13. Or,
Oh.
Wait,
No, I said lucky. I didn't say lucky 13. Hey,
what did he say?
lucky.
I said even.
He said evens.
Wait,
So-
what's this for?
This is for the meat, the dragon meat.
Oh.
So as you reach in, you pull out a massive platter of meat.
Okay.
Looking at it, looking around, it's no longer dragon meat. You don't know what happened, but this is definitely just like pork ribs.
I'm gonna look at it. Smell it, and then slide it over. Start feeding dog. Then I'll reach in for some more and see if it's going to kill me when I eat some.
Okay, you reach in for some more. It's fine. Tastes good.
All right.
Gonna turn into a pig.
Nibs has been quite out of it since the ring incident.
Yeah,
He is seriously
He's sad.
disturbed.
he's sad. He's a little depressed.
He's got the big sad.
He's got the big sad.
Sad.
He has developed depression. So we're gonna end this session with you guys back on the skiff, departing the Overkeep Pass and the chasm,
So now we are headed back outside the fold.
making your way back outside the fold. Now,
Nice.
you guys are headed back to Longhorn Post, as that is where the skiff is from. That is where it is expected to return. And so we will begin next session with you guys pulling out of the fold. This will be about 4 days later, and I'll have some things that you guys see and such that happen, but
Just smiles like twitching at the end.
and we will see how dog progresses. That's for sure. However, we will not be doing another Larry encounter or anything of the sort. Um,
I'm gonna miss my Larry.
And I'll do some rolls, we'll discuss, see if you guys have to deal with any blue car or anything. However, we will likely not be rolling through that combat, as we have spent a long time in the fold.
We have spent.
So, with that, we're going to call this session